Good evening, everybody. This is Stellated Odin bringing you another installment of my all things Star Trek Online videos. Now, tonight I wanted to go over some of the facets of Star Trek Online that make the game very enjoyable for me to play. Now, if you're an avid gamer like I, then you've probably played various MMOs. My background, just so you guys know, does revolve around World of Warcraft, a Blizzard produced game, which I've played since '05. I've also had the chance to play Star Wars The Old Republic by LucasArts, and of course, Star Trek Online, which is the theme of tonight's video, which is owned by Cryptic Studios and Perfect World Entertainment. Now, with hundreds of options out there for people to choose from in terms of gaming, I thought it would be of value, if you will, to create a video which went over my favorite aspects of Star Trek Online. There's a lot of pros and cons for different games, and I thought this one deserved a few props, and that's the purpose of the video. Now, if you're a Star Trek fan of any of the shows, really, this is kind of a no-brainer. The show takes place about 30 years after the movie Star Trek Nemesis, which granted wasn't everyone's favorite movie. And although you don't have the opportunity to run into all the characters from the shows, there are a couple that have lent their voices and characters to the game. A few of these are Tim Russ, also known as Tuvok from Voyager, and Denise Crosby, who's known as Tasha Yar from The Next Generation from the first season. And the third one, which is a big hit to me, is Michael Dorn, who's everyone's, of course, favorite Klingon. He has reprised his role as Worf in a third and very interesting story arc if you choose to play as a Klingon. Now, one of the greatest selling points for any game right now is the fact that they generally incorporate a free-to-play system. A lot of them have various limitations built into it. And I can tell you, Star Trek Online, those limitations are almost not noticeable. I have a lot of friends that do play for free, and they get the same access to the galaxy, if you will, and to the ships as a paid subscriber. There are, of course, a couple things that help if you do pay. You get more character slots. You can get what they call cryptic points every month, which helps you buy in-game items, which are only accessible to people with those points. The good news about that is you don't have to have a subscription to do that. You can also make one-time purchases on the Perfect World Entertainment website for the same points that a subscriber gets. Now, starting off in the game, you pick your race, which there's numerous to choose from, and you pick your career specialty. Now, whether you choose to play as a Federation Starfleet officer or a Klingon warrior fighting for the Empire, you get three choices in terms of career paths. You get to be either a tactical officer, a engineer officer, or a science officer. Each of these brings very valuable differences to the game, to different groups that you choose to play with, to different events that you can do, both by yourself and with parties. They all bring something to the game, which of course the other ones cannot. So that's kind of exciting to me. A third race that you can, or a third sort of mini faction you can pick now is the Romulans. It's a recent update again. But as you level as a Romulan, it's important to point out that you do have to pick, I believe it's like level 10. You have to choose whether or not you want to be a Federation allied Romulan or a Klingon allied Romulan. So just keep that stuff in mind. To go over some of my other favorite aspects of the game, probably the single biggest attraction for me is having the entirety of the Star Trek universe accessible to me. You can hang out at Quark's Bar, for example, at Deep Space Nine. You can socialize at the club on their space dock. You can explore parts of Starfleet Academy. Of course, running across those famous officers, from the shows. That's always interesting to me. But basically, just having the free roaming aspect is genuinely awesome. It's very fun. So, some people, of course, are not fans of Star Trek. I can never understand why. My wife refuses to watch the show. I don't know why. But even for those people, the game still provides the typical different environments that other MMOs do. For example, you got the player versus environment, the missions, the quests, the activities that you do on behalf of Starfleet or on behalf of the Klingon Empire that you can do by yourself. You can also do group events at the higher levels. Not all of them. You have to be at the max level, which is 50, but there's a lot of open activities you can do. And there's also the player versus player, the PvP aspect. And for both sides, they're not strictly related to space or related to ground. They have both available. In other words, you can choose to play different end-game events on the ground missions, controlling your officer, obviously, your character, or you can do it in space, which is, ship on ship, which is, for me, that's where I get the most excitement. But I do know plenty of people that survive based solely on PvP. So there is that. Some of the things that they've brought into the game, which most people will recognize one way or another, even if you're not a fan, is the Borg. One of Starfleet's biggest adversaries does reprise their role as they continue to wreak havoc, trying to assimilate everything in their path to further their cause for perfection. And it's very rewarding when you're able to partake in the destruction of some of those Borg vessels. Another interesting story arc is the Dominion warships that were mysteriously sent away in the Deep Space Nine episode Sacrifice of Angels. Well, the developers brought them back, and that story arc is fascinating to me. Very, very fascinating. So there's a couple things to look forward to. Another recent addition, being July 2012, I think, was the fleet advancement system. Now, prior to this, you could join a fleet, basically like a guild, as it's known in other games, where you play with like-minded people. But now, what they have done since 2012 is implement a system where, as your fleet members contribute to different projects, your fleet gains levels, and as you gain levels, you gain access to very substantial weapons, whether it be ship weapons, ground weapons, different consoles or different items that your officers can use or your ships can use. Things that really turn the tide, in my opinion, and very much made the game a lot more enjoyable. So, ultimately, of course, how you spend your free time is completely up to you. If you're an avid MMO player, then I'd suggest give Star Trek Online a shot. As I said before, it's free to play, free to sign up, free to create the account, free to play. Can't lose nothing. If it turns out you like it, then you might find the need or feel the urge to, at the very least, subscribe. This has been Stellated Odin. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it might have helped you make the decision. Feel free to send it to anyone that you think might take pleasure from this video too. Don't hesitate to hit the like button. And as always, subscribe for future Stowe-related videos. Hope you enjoyed the video, and happy journeys.